Hi, my name's Rachel and today we're in the kitchen. Yesterday I harvested some chilies and some tomatoes, so we've got some hot chilies here. We've also got some milder jalapenos and some tomatoes from the garden, and we're going to be making a fermented hot sauce. So some other ingredients that I've purchased for this is capsicum. You don't have to use capsicum, but I'm not so great with really hot food, so this is going to help to mild it down, and also some onion and garlic. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to chop this all up, and then we're going to put it into a container, and we're going to ferment this for a week to 7 days. So the fermentation process is really great, has a lot of great health benefits, and it adds a lot of probiotics to your diet. So it's actually a live food. So we're going to chop this up today, and we're going to ferment it, and I'm going to come back and speak to you further next week to finish off the sauce. So let's get chopping. Because we're working with hot chilies today, I'm going to put a glove on so that I don't get the oil from the seeds on my hand. You don't have to do this, but it's always a good idea when working with hot chilies. Also, I'm going to be de-seeding some of these. You don't have to do that. I'm just going to be doing that roughly. I'm not going to remove all of them, but just to help to reduce the heat on my hot sauce, and hopefully hopefully make a milder product so that I can enjoy it as well. All right. So far we have our hot chilies sliced, and you can see I've removed the seeds here. And we're also going to do our other chilies, tomato, onion, garlic, and a red capsicum. So now I have all of my chilies de-seeded and in my container. Time to move on to the non-hot ingredients. Now I have all of my veggies chopped into my container, and it's time to begin the steps for fermentation. Fermentation is a very ancient method of preserving food, and it's something that sort of started to go out of fashion in certain cultures, but has now started to come back, whether it's sauerkraut or kimchi from Korea or sriracha. These are all fermented products. And fermentation, in this sense, it's the lactobacillus bacteria, and to encourage that bacteria to ferment your foods, there's two things that you should do. One is to add salt. It likes a salty environment, and also it should be in a anaerobic environment, so without oxygen, and this will ensure that your fermentation is successful. You shouldn't ever have any mold or anything like that on your dishes, but it will get that really nice tangy flavor that you get with kimchi. So for this amount of vegetables, I'm adding, to show that to you, this amount of vegetables, I'm adding 2 good tablespoons of salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top of this. And then we're also going to add some water. Filtered water or non-chlorinated water is best for this, and that will help to submerge this. Then we're going to put it into a cool place for a week or so. You can do as little as like 5 days. You can do it longer, up to 2 weeks, to make a more tangy flavor. So I'm probably going to leave this for about a week this time, and we'll come back, we'll look at it next week, and we'll finish off our hot sauce. So I'm just going to add in the salt, sprinkle it over the product. Okay, and then I'm just going to use my spoon, and I'm going to push the chopped up veggies down into the dish so that that salt starts to draw out the moisture, which will start to create a brine, which will cause the fermentation process to begin. So you can see here that it started to release some liquid from the salt in there, so that is a good thing. And I'm just now going to top this off with some water, and we'll just make sure that it is submerged in the water. Okay, I'm going to pop the lid on and pop it into a cupboard. So I've got my veggies ready to put in the cupboard. I'm going to put this in a dark place. It says about 60 or 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so just kind of room temperature, not too hot, so put it in a nice cool area for hearing to buy. You want this to ferment, but you don't want it to be too hot because the process will happen too quickly, and you don't want it to be too cold, so don't put it in the fridge because it will go too slowly. It will release gases as this fermentation process happens, so you can check on it every day or so. Just open the container, let out some of those gases, and yeah, we'll see you next week to finish off this sauce. I can't wait to try it. Hi everyone, it's the next week and I'm back in the kitchen and I'm going to be finishing off my fermented hot sauce. So I have left this go for a week, and you can leave it go longer if you want. It will just have like a stronger sort of tangy fermented flavor, but I'm happy with how this is. It smells really great. I'm going to show you how it looks inside. It's got, I don't know if you can see this, but the brine goes this sort of cloudy color, and this is completely normal. This is a sign of fermentation. There's also some little bubbles inside here, and that is the gases coming out from the fermentation process. I've had some weights on top of these chilies, tomatoes, onions and garlic, just holding them under the water. So holding them under the brine, under the water, is a good way to ensure that the fermentation process goes really well. When I open it up, I can see that there is like a white covering on some of it. So this is a yeast buildup, which is again completely normal. But if you're doing this and you have any like colorful molds, that means it's gone bad. So definitely don't use that. That should be thrown away. But it's completely normal for it to sort of have a little bit of white. So I'll show you what this looks like, and then we're going to strain off the brine, and we're going to blend up the chilies and see how our hot sauce has turned out. So I'm just going to take these weights off here, and you can see underneath there is the cloudy brine and just some white yeast build up on here. So this is completely normal. I'm going to just sort of skim that off the top. It's fine if some of it's in there. It's not going to hurt you. It's just yeast, like what's in you know, sourdough bread. And I will strain this off and make my hot sauce. So I've just got a colander here into a glass bowl. I'm just going to tip this off. It smells really good. So here I have my strained chilies. I'm really loving the smell of this. I'm going to keep the brine aside for now. I may add some of this back in to make a thinner hot sauce, and we'll see what the texture is like after I blend it. Okay, so because I've decided to do a small batch of hot sauce, you can do as much as you want at once. I'm going to be using my NutriBullet to blend this. You can use a food processor or a blender or whatever you have that will do this, and you can just whiz it up and do it a lot if you want it really thin, smooth consistency, or you can just leave it a bit chunkier if you prefer as well. So whatever is your preference. Okay, so I've given this a good whiz, and it smells amazing. Love that sort of pickly smell of fermented foods. And I've given it a bit of a taste, and even though I put all of those tomatoes and the sweet pepper as well, for me, it really does have quite a kick. So the peppers actually are quite sweet. So I'm going to add in a little bit of extra salt, and also a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So this is an organic one with the mother in, and this is full of probiotics as well. So the probiotics in the hot sauce is going to be supercharged by the probiotics in the apple cider vinegar. I think I'm going to have a really amazing sauce when I'm finished. So just add a little bit more in, and I think I'm going to add in a little bit more of the brine as well. Okay, I've given it another taste now. I've added some of the apple cider vinegar. I'm really happy with that flavor. It's definitely spicy. I think I'm going red in the face. But no, I'm going to make some wings, I think, tonight, and put this with some wings. And I can't wait to start experimenting with this. But to preserve it, we're going to bottle it up in some jars. Now it's important to note that this is fermented, it's live food, so even when you put it in the fridge it will continue to ferment. So I'm going to put it in some little grommet bottles, but it will continue to ferment. So keep it in the fridge, check on it every so often. Just like pop the cap to release the gases, because it will continue to ferment very slowly in the fridge, but it will release some more gases. Okay, let's bottle this up. To sterilize my bottles, I've just had them boiling in some water. You can put them in the dishwasher or whatever you like as well. So we'll just get the water off these and then we'll bottle it up. Okay, so we've got our sterilized glass grommet jars and a wide funnel here. I'm just going to slowly pour this in to here. It's still quite thick. Okay, this might take a while to strain. Maybe I'll blend it again. Slowly dripping down into our jars. I think this is going to be okay. So I have filled 2 jars so far with my hot sauce, and as a bit of a variation I've decided I'm going to add some coriander. So I've popped out to the garden, I've grabbed the last of the coriander. It's got bolted, it started to go to seed, but I've got a little bit left. So I'm going to blend this fresh coriander into the last of the sauce and have a bit of a variation to see what I like the most. One of my favorite things to do in the kitchen is to experiment and just sort of see what happens. So you never know if you don't try. So I bottled up my hot sauce. I've got 2 and almost 3 bottles here. You can see this middle one, it's the last one I filled. It's got the bits of coriander in. I really like the flavor that adds to the sauce. So yeah, just very, very happy with my hot sauce. So these will go into the fridge. You can see that it is bubbling there. So that's the fermentation process. That's absolutely fine. These will keep for quite a while in the fridge, at least 6 months. Just keep an eye on them and you'll be able to smell if something has gone wrong, and enjoy. Thanks so much for watching this video. It went across 2 weeks. I'm really happy with the result of my hot sauce, so I think I'll definitely be doing this again. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy gardening.